It's the month of Halloween, and this time I'm actually going to bother making a video for the season instead of disappearing for months. And for Halloween this year, I've decided to make a childhood trauma video. That trend's still going, right? I don't know. However, instead of talking about my childhood trauma, I'm just gonna be talking about the childhood trauma of the people over at r/creepygaming. This video isn't like paid or endorsed by the people over there, but the subreddit's pretty good. You should totally check it out, and also it's kinda dead, so it needs new people. But regardless, I decided to ask these fine people about their gaming-related childhood trauma, and I got a decent amount of responses. However, before we dive into those, I'll be starting off with my own childhood trauma story. Have you ever heard of the game show Press Your Luck? Okay, that may be a little bit before my time, but just hear me out. Press Your Luck is a pretty basic trivia game show with the element of a wheel added in. Each tile on the wheel gives different amounts of money or various prizes. However, there are also the whammy tiles. Whammy tiles basically take all of the money you've earned, so using the wheel is a gamble. The whammy tiles were represented by these cute little cartoon devils, aptly titled whammies. They were simple and cute enough. They served their purpose just fine. However, for the 2002 reboot of the show, they decided to turn them into these CGI monstrosities. God, no wonder this fucking show only lasted a year. These things are terrifying. They also had a fucking mascot suit for it? It looks terrible! Now this is real furry shit. But what exactly does this have to do with video games, you probably aren't thinking? Well, there was a whammy PC game released back I can't find a single thing on this game, so I have no fucking clue. But regardless, when you launch the game, this little UI pops up with the music playing. There's nothing scary about that, right? Well, 1-year-old me disagrees. I was only a year old, sitting on my dad's lap as he was using the computer. He decided to play this game for a bit, so he launched it. He didn't realize the speakers were at full volume. All of a sudden, 1-year-old me is being fucking assaulted by sudden blasting loud, intense music, and if that isn't bad enough, I also have this fucking face staring at me. That actually gave me reoccurring nightmares until I was around 7 or 8 years old. But that's enough of my shit. How about we move on to someone else's trauma, shall we? There was an arcade located in the public area of a sauna place my family and I would stay in at once in a while. The arcade had glass walls and doors that you could see through, and for some reason, an employee thought it was a good idea to place a horror game right in front of the entrance. That game was Carnival. I made the mistake of watching the opening. A lovely opening it is, starting with Spooky Sam's Ghost Tours.
Spooky Sam's Ghost Tours.
Spooky Sam's Ghost Tours. However, this strapping young lad here goes overboard and makes his way over to this specific grave with a carnival token and a lovely Jester head. Obviously, the kid's first instinct is to feed the Jester statue the coin, and hey, it makes sense. How many people do you think are brave enough to get this close to that thing? It's probably very hungry. Jester Boy gets so happy that he's being fed that he turns into Magic Boy. Oh boy! In all honesty though, you can see the point where the Jester comes to life and it's genuinely creepy seeing those eyes open first. One day, I tried to work up my courage to ask an older kid if I could watch him play Carnival. He picked the Freak Show level. I managed to stomach the enemies being gored and dismembered, but then he got to the boss. The boss was different depending on the adjustments the operators had. The more family-friendly version has a gigantic teddy bear named Deddy, but the original is a gigantic zombie baby called Junior. He fought the latter. The sheer size of the boss, his swiping, his vomiting, and the way he rendered Shelter useless made me feel a weird sense of vulnerability I'd never felt before. Watching the camera run around in circles as the baby gets bloodier and bloodier gave me nightmares. Many years later, with horror experience under my belt, I decided to finally play the arcade game. The arcade was replaced with a small massage parlor. My uncle had a PS1 and a demo disc with Tomb Raider, Tomba, Blasto, Jersey Devil, and a few more. I haven't gone back and played it again, but the Tomb Raider demo is so creepy. There didn't seem to be much context. You just start out in an alley and your only choice is to go forward. Once you get to a certain point, a man or a dog come around the corner and you're stuck. They advance and you have to avoid or fight them. This struck young me as very dark and too realistic, and I never finished the demo, but it also interested me, so I played it over and over. Also, my dad had missed, and I snuck on to play it and ended up crying because of the dark ambient music and the sunken ship. I still have a fear of man-made things underwater. I sometimes wonder if it came from that, or if that was just my first experience. I was really young when Twisted Metal came out, and the local gaming store had a standee of the clown. I've been completely mortified of clowns ever since I saw that thing. I had nightmares for weeks. It's one of my first memories. Yeah, I can relate to that. I'll keep it simple. Me being around 6 or 8 years old playing Friday the 13th on the Commodore 64. Spoiler alert, it's a screamer.
Brew! Gotcha, scared you.
Ooh, I've got two that come to mind. The first and least funny of the two is Super Mario Sunshine, the Paper Manta Ray. No reason really, I was just fucking terrified of that boss for a while. The second is Majora's Mask, but it's a really funny story. I was probably around 6 when it came out, and Target had it on a demo Nintendo 64. I played it, put on the Deku mask, and when I saw the transformation and scream, I literally ran screaming to my mom. I was both terrified of masks and Target then. Speaking of Majora's Mask, I encountered a glitch in Majora's Mask when I started a new game. The open cutscene played and everything, and once I'm able to control Link, I noticed all of my C button slots and inventory slots are filled with ocarinas. When I moved around for a bit, Link just randomly dies, and it scared the shit out of me. The game MDK2 has you fighting the last boss in his palace. The game itself had a few weird things in it, but I wouldn't say creepy, so it kept me playing on as a kid. The part that really freaked me out was how the second phase of the boss battle takes place inside him. I was very much not ready to see the part where his chest opens up and you fly towards him into him. Next thing that comes up is you're surrounded by his insides with that acidy noise to accompany the atmosphere around him. Not only did I absolutely get scared, I moved back so fast in my chair to get away from the screen, I fell backwards on the floor due to my fear kicking in and my body feeling more energetic and scared than ever. I also remember the fall not stopping me from hitting the power button on the PC too, then feeling the fall pain. It's nothing for me today, but back then that was my first exposure to non-horror game fear, and truly something you might see as just kinda weird but not scary today. But to myself as a kid, that closed-in flesh room was just too much for me. Vor. How fun. Yeah, this is definitely the least sexy vor I've ever seen. For me, it's unintentional cartridge tilting, specifically when I played Super Mario All-Star on SNES. There would be times when I would accidentally move the SNES console too hard or pull in my remote too hard and it would cause unintentional cartridge tilting. And then creepy sounds would play, or like creepy versions of boss music from the game. I would immediately feel the fear all over my body and would go turn off my SNES as fast as I could. Most times I wouldn't play the SNES for the rest of the day out of fear of it happening again. Luckily, the commenter decided to provide us with a couple video links to some examples of this. Jesus Christ! It sounds like an alien trying to make contact with Earth. This is certainly creepy. No, no, no! Ah, stupid machine! Ah, God, not again. Where am I? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and got into the Halloween spirit. This video is quite different for me, and I enjoyed making it for the most part. It was fun to work off of other people's stories. If you did like the video, a like and a comment would most certainly be appreciated, as more interaction with the videos helps it in the YouTube algorithm. Plus, I'd love to hear what you thought of the video. If you're not yet and you'd like to, subscribe to my channel for more videos. I also have a bunch of older videos to watch as well. Once more, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great Halloween. Or any other time of the year. You know, whenever you're watching this.
Woo-wee, that was fun.